Should we be scared for the future of Ubisoft games like the next Assassin's Creed after Ghost Recon Breakpoint? I think it's a solid question after seeing the bad reviews that the game is getting, the very aggressive microtransactions that the game has at launch, and just the state that Breakpoint was released in. I think we can very well see how we got here, why Ubisoft is turning all their games into RPGs and basically making games they think they should make instead of look at what people want from their games. In this video I want to take a look at how we got here and answer the question if we should be scared. Short answer, yes, but also not yet. So let's get into it. Would be awesome if you could leave a like on the video as it shows your support, and let's go. Even if you haven't played Ghost Recon Breakpoint, I think you know about the microtransactions, right? Everything in this game is monetized or going to be monetized in the future. I mostly dislike the cosmetic part of the store, where you have a ton of outfits that are locked behind a paywall, like you cannot earn them through playing. Want to look like the awesome bad guys in this game? Well, then you have to pay up. You would think that it's a reward for killing this guy. That would have made a ton of sense, but now these characters that you see in the cutscene and that you want to look like are basically an advertisement for the store. It's really bad. It's like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but all the legendary outfits are behind a paywall. We of course have the item packs in Odyssey and Origins, but you could get those through playing the game, and they only release these packs as extra purchase options post-launch, alongside a ton of free content and many new features. Ghost Recon Breakpoint has that and everything else. You can buy blueprints for all the different weapons in the game, attachments, vehicles, currency that you can get through playing. There are packs for crafting materials, for upgrade materials. Like, imagine if all the items that you could earn in Odyssey were also purchasable. It would really ruin the whole point of chasing them. It's worth pointing out that during my 20 hours of playtime I never felt pressured to buy these time savers. It's really just a cheat mode that makes playing the game way less fun. Blueprints for weapons are rewards for infiltrating highly guarded bases or fighting the drone enemies. You are just robbing yourself of that reward by straight up paying for it. Yet knowing that these things exist, that there's an option to buy that special reward that you otherwise have to fight for, makes it way less special. Ubisoft now translates time you spent in the game to money, because you could have bought this upgrade and that would have saved you the time of infiltrating the base. I really don't want to see it like that. And it should not be worth it for Ubisoft to diminish the experience of their own games by giving you an option to cheat your way to the top. There were even more things you could buy a few hours after the game went live, like skill points or resources to upgrade weapons to the highest ranks. Just a ton of extra ways to upgrade your character by just simply spending money. But the skill points and the weapon upgrades to the higher ranks were rapidly removed after going live. I never saw the skill points that you see in this screen, for example, while I was also playing during the early access on September 30th when the game officially launched in New Zealand. Ubisoft made a blog post about this, saying that it was not their intention to already add these time savers, but that they will come back in the future. I mean, we could argue if this is true or not, we will never know. I do think it's worth pointing out that they also had the battle rewards boosters in the shop during those first hours. There's a battle pass in Breakpoint as well, so with these boosters you can get the rewards faster instead of doing the daily missions or the PvP. In a separate article on their website that was published before the game was even out, they noted that these boosters will be available 2 weeks after launch. So not immediately as we saw right now. So the error could be true for that part, maybe not for the other things. To be fair, I really don't care. I don't really like making videos like this. I just like playing the game, finding things that will help you a lot while playing. And that's what I did for Breakpoint too. But sometimes it's worth it to talk about these things, and I hope that it will then change for the best. I don't want the option to buy everything in the next Assassin's Creed. I want there to still be mystery and unlockables that you have to earn. But I think there's a way bigger trend going on with Ubisoft games in general. They all seem to be moving in the same direction. If you played any Ubisoft games in the recent years, then you've likely seen this trend. Everything is becoming an RPG. Sometimes it works, but not always. Assassin's Creed wasn't doing well after Unity and Syndicate, so they had to redo the series and came with Assassin's Creed Origins, turning the series into an open world RPG, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey built upon that and introduced more gear to collect and stats that we had to worry about. I love these games, no surprise there if you know this channel, and I think that the open world RPG direction works really well for the historical time periods that we can explore in Assassin's Creed, finding armor and weapons that the Spartans used, for example, building your own character in that time period. And many people agree. I, for example, see it in my comments during my streams on social media, but Odyssey also has a very high Metacritic, for example. And Ubisoft likes to remind people every time in their financials that the amount of time that people spent in these new RPG Assassin's Creeds is way higher than in the previous titles in the series. And of course the fact is that the longer people spend in your game and the more they come back to it, the more likely they are to spend money on the DLCs and the microtransactions. This slide in their financials is really important. Firehorse in Origins, €15. It also included the armor set, by the way. Anyways, not the point. For Ubisoft, it's €15 well made. Because they only had to make the mount and put it in the game, while there goes way more into making a real game or an expansion that costs the same price. This slide really helps everyone understand where the whole game industry is coming from, and Ubisoft included. The cost is super low for these types of microtransactions, while they get the same amount of money. We are seeing another big trend in games right now. Subscription services from publishers, where for a monthly fee you get access to all the games from EA or Ubisoft, for example. If those are games that you can finish in 10 to 20 hours, then there's really no reason to resubscribe to the service. But if you can spend hundreds of hours in the game and have a constant stream of new content, then you are way more likely to keep that monthly subscription going. It's kind of where we're heading now, and it seems like Ubisoft's answer to that is making everything an RPG. An amazing example of this transformation is Far Cry 5 to Far Cry New Dawn. In Far Cry 5, the game worked like any other shooter. You kill an enemy, it dies from one bullet. There were some exceptions, but it was mostly like that, what you can expect. Then a year later, we get Far Cry New Dawn, that introduces tiers of enemies, where your guns come in tiers too. So having a rank 1 gun against a rank 3 enemy, for example, just did not do a lot of damage, so you have to upgrade that gun. It doesn't make a lot of sense for this type of game, but it did add extra progression systems to Far Cry. If you can kill everyone with one shot, then why is there a reason to grind for the best weapons, right? And this is what we see in Ghost Recon as well. There are now tanks in the game that can take a ton of damage, while all the other enemies die from a single headshot. These drones make sure that there's an incentive for the loot grind, that you want to min-max your stats to be as effective as possible. So spend time upgrading your character. I normally like things like this, making a cool loadout with the gear I gathered, but I feel that Ghost Recon should be more about skill. Being able to sneak past all the guards and kill them one by one is not about the stats or your gear at all. And I hope that the raid will be more about that instead of just fighting enemies with a ton of health. We will have to wait and see. The raid is not out yet, but overall these RPG elements feel kind of out of place in Ghost Recon, and now I kind of fear for Far Cry 6 too. If New Dawn is them hinting at what the future of this series will look like, then I would not be surprised if Far Cry 6 is just Borderlands in a big open world. There should be more ways to extend the life cycle of those games instead of turning them all into the same thing. Far Cry 5 is the best-selling Ubisoft game this generation, and this game does not have any of the RPG elements or systems. We haven't heard anything about the New Dawn sales, but I would be surprised if they were more than 2 million. And now Ghost Recon seems to be suffering from a Ubisoft that wants this game to be something that it's not. And I'm all for giving people more great incentives to keep playing a game with big post-launch content plans, so you'll always have something to look forward to. But that should be on top of an awesome experience that makes sense for that franchise. I just hope that even if Ubisoft will continue with this RPG trend, and I think they will at least for the next couple of years, that they will be less aggressive with the microtransactions. It just doesn't feel right to spend a ton of money on this game to find out that the outfit outfits that the enemies are wearing are only obtainable through microtransactions. I hope that Breakpoint is a wake-up call and that they learn from this and kind of look at, okay, we went too far with this. I can already predict the same sort of outcry with Watch Dogs Legion if they continue with the VIP system that they already hinted at. This lets you earn XP and money faster, but for a limited time only, instead of the one-time purchases that Odyssey had. So that's like taking the controversial XP booster from Odyssey and making it even worse. And don't get me wrong, I'm still looking forward to Watch Dogs Legion. Obviously cannot wait to see the next Assassin's Creed next year. We should be a little scared after Breakpoint. It will be interesting to see if they do anything with this or let it just die down now. I totally want to discuss these things when they are going too far again, in my opinion, and I want to discuss them with you as well in the comments down below, so totally let me know your take right there. But I just hope that I can focus on the tips and tricks and just keeping you up to date on the games that I love playing, because there are still some awesome fall games coming and 2020 is looking to be insane. So yes, curious to hear your take for sure in the comments down below. Like this video to support the channel and subscribe for when we hear more about the next Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs Legion. I'll be sure to let you know here. You can check out my previous video on some recent rumors regarding that Viking game, and I will speak to you next time. Goodbye.